Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lorelei Shamayo, and this is MeWe Fairs for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. We have events throughout the Northwest, many online, and we interview our practitioners and vendors so you get a chance to know who we are before you meet us at an event. I'm excited to be here today with Richard Songbird. Richard, it's great to be with you.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Lorelei.
So tell us, what is it that you do? What do you offer at our events?
I am a cement artist, and I got inspired to work with cement because I feel like it's such a queer material and that it brings out the strangeness of matter in a very special way. And I began working with it 25 years ago. But I have this background that's kind of unique. I'm a gay man, but I am married to a woman, and we have three beautiful children. And I found it really hard to carry that story and carry that energy because it was really hard. And the work with cement over the years, just touching into that, has really helped me to heal and embody what it means to live here in this reality that I find myself in. Um,
Well,
so it's
I
big.
was gonna say, so
And
I happen to be a queer woman, and then I also,
okay.
you probably don't know this about my background. I worked in clay for a number of years, so I know a bit about
Mm,
working with some of a related medium. So say a little bit
hmm.
more about cement and like how cement is something that touched you personally, and it's right.
Sure. Well, I finally came out publicly at the age of 50 uh, on Facebook a few months ago.
Wow.
And the and then also I immersed myself in my cement practice at the same time. And the results have been just phenomenal in terms of the insights that I've gotten and the creative energy that has been released. And I want to share that with people. So I don't exactly know. I don't know what people want from me, but I think that it's okay. And the MeWe fairs seem like a place where I can go to have conversations with people, other vendors, as well as participants who can help. Like, I have gifts to share. I want to share them with people, but I don't exactly know what those are yet. I have an inkling. But what happened with my cement practice is that I found that I've started to create things. And then after I've created them and looked at them, I realize what they are and what they're for. And sometimes it happens at the moment of creation. And I feel like we're at a time where pottery has become prohibitively expensive for most people. But I was gifted this thing that I call cotton stone. And it's a way of creating 3D objects with cement, cotton cloth, and water. That's all you need. And you can create these wonderful works and have the experience of looking at something in your 3D reality, because we are, as humans, we're embodied. We need to look at objects many times in order to process and integrate what's going on. And that's why, I'm so excited about my cotton stone process. This is a sock.
Oh, and you're gonna
All
have to
my
hold it, yeah, in
filters
front
gonna
of you so
play
you
around.
can see. Okay.
This is a sock. I may need to shut off my. No, I'll put it in front of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a sock, and it's been immersed in concrete in a cement mixture. And but what I find is that when I look at this, I there are things that happened with the material, like these little drips started to form feet. So I'm thinking that this can become a little centipede or millipede. My idea is to put little rocks in rows on each side of this, and then possibly have a plant in here. Uh, or it could be used for some other purpose. But as I was saying, I want people to tell me, because I don't know what the objects I create are many times. And that's part of the whimsy and the fun of it. This to me looks like it could be some creature that has a mouth, um, could be somewhat menacing, or could be friendly, depending on how you look at it. And perhaps you'd want to, yeah, perhaps you'd want to put eyes up here or something. So anyway, what I'm going to offer at each fair is a selection of these, and people can come up to the table. And if something speaks to you and you want to buy it, whether to use it just as it is, or to decorate it or give as a gift for somebody to paint, because that's one of the things about cement that's different from pottery, is that you can just paint it with acrylic paints or house paints or other things, and you don't have to worry about firing it and all of that. And if you don't like what you painted, you can just paint over it and start over. So it's wonderfully forgiving medium. And that's one of the insights that I learned about cement, is like there's so much forgiveness in the world. So just try it. So here's one that is actually, I've finished, and I just have to put a little place to hold this. So this to me is like a little sconce planter. So it could be a sconce planter or a sconce vase. You could have a little bouquet of flowers in here. So this is one that I've taken. So some of them I'm inspired. They speak to me. I'm like, oh, I'm going to take this a little bit further. I'm going to add, like this one, I added a sand coat to it. And so it's pretty much ready to be used as a vase. But other ones, I look at them and I think, oh, it's a little top hat. So some child or adult who wants to explore this object, for whom, if this speaks to you, you can buy something like this and paint it. Look at this adorable little top hat that you can put in your garden. And leprechaun, right? So this is a hat that the leprechaun left behind in your garden. And what I've discovered is that it's like when I'm working with cotton stone, my medium, I'm putting the cotton cloth into this cement water mixture, and I've started to call it a matrix, which is like the Spanish word for womb, or Latin word for womb, the matrix, because it really is a place where I've found that I'm not just creating something out of my mind or with my hands. Something is reaching through the matrix that wants to be embodied in our world. And I'm trying to get out of the way as much as I can and just let these things flow through me so that people can enjoy, because we need more whimsy, we need more play. Like imagine this stumbling upon, this is a leprechaun legging, a leg warmer. This is a leprechaun's leg. So you can have the leprechaun's top hat and his leg warmer, which were left behind in your garden. You can paint these and just have so much fun with them. And if there's a child in your life, this could be something that you could work on together, or a senior, anyone. This is fun for all ages. So I say that I'm creating, like crafting with cement for rituals and whimsy. And I really want to bring together that aspect of the reverence for life and the sacredness of life, but also just the playfulness and the fun that can come from things when you're working creatively. And then this is a cement pot that I'm calling a fertility pot. And you can see by its shape what it's suggesting. So another service that I would like to offer people, if a couple is going to go into a marriage ceremony or a commitment ceremony, this could be something that's part of your preparation process, where we find cloth that may be meaningful to your family. Like it could be grandma's dress or something. Like who's going to keep grandma's dress and wear it these days, right? After she passes. But why not take that opportunity to work together? So I'm envisioning this is something that the couple would do together and I would show up with them and for them, and we would create the matrix, because there's a whole ritual that goes into it. As I've gone through, there are actually 3 exoteric rites and 1 esoteric rite that are involved in the creation of these works. And so we would go through that, and we would reflect on things like how we all came from a womb, and how do we access the divine feminine energy that we all carry within us. And I think people embodied as men often have a rejection of that energy. And it's something that even as a gay man, that was part of my struggle for so long, is like pushing that away. But now that I've invited it, I've stopped drinking the poison. Lots of toxins have just cleared out of my body. So I'm just trying to be a clear vessel to work with people and their energies that they bring to these things. So that's the cotton stone practice. And what I am doing is I want to teach people how to do cotton stone. So I don't want to be the only practitioner of this. What makes it kind of unusual is that I've used scissors. Like a lot of people have worked with cotton cloth and cement, but they don't dip their scissors into the matrix because you don't want to ruin your scissors, I guess. I don't know. But I have found that there are ways of trimming the fabric in advance and then trimming it while it's in the matrix. And you can actually use a simple cardboard box to form something like a shadow box or a display case or an altar. And that's, I believe, a new development. Like I haven't seen people doing that before. So that's one of the practices that I want to teach with cotton stone. And then there's a whole other practice that I do with cement that's called hypertufa that people may be familiar with. And hypertufa is an alternative to a typical concrete mix where you would use cement powder and like gravel and sand. Instead, you use cement powder and peat moss or coconut coir, and you use perlite or vermiculite. So it's a lighter weight version and it can be carved and sculpted. And so the old stone troughs of England were called tufa troughs. And those were all snatched up for people to use as gardens because they just have such a beautiful look to them, such an old look. So my hypertufa practice is to recreate these kind of stone troughs. But again, I want to invite people to do this activity, maybe a grandparent with their grandchildren or parents with their kids or a group of friends who want to get together and have a wine night and make hypertufa pots. That's something that I want to support people in doing. And I'm really into pushing the envelope in terms of how we treat plants. It's interesting to me to hear that more and more research is showing that plants actually have a kind of consciousness. It's not the same as our kind of consciousness, but in a way it's different. Like we wouldn't say that a kindergartner is better than a toddler or that a college student is better than, a fifth grader. Like these are just different kinds of consciousness and different ways of being in the world. And we can learn something from each of the stages of our human growth. And we can also learn something from the different kinds of forms of life out there. So I'm very interested in and have done a lot of work. I can share pictures too of the planters that I've created that are custom for plants. And I really want to push the envelope in terms of succulent containers that are shallow and that are more reflective of a desert environment, instead of like putting a succulent in a pot where it doesn't need that much soil, and it actually will do better in a shallower pot.
Mhm.
Yes, exactly. And so I have cotton stone examples of those. And then also the whole idea of shelter. So I feel like when I'm creating a place where I would want to exist. So I have some plants that planters that are like shelters. So they're niches or nooks that the plant can live in. And there are some plants like fuchsia that want to have the access to the light, but they don't want their roots to get burned. And so I've created pots that are specially shaped for fuchsia. And I'm interested in exploring that even more and working with people if they want to provide a custom plant home for a beloved thing that they're growing.
Wow, wow. Yeah, yeah, wow. I I noticed for the pieces that you showed on screen, you clearly are working with a very fine kind of concrete because
Mm-hmm.
often there are like stones and rocks and things like that in it, that the ones that I've
Yeah.
seen, like that I've mixed in, for putting up stakes and steps and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about I'm not sure how to pronounce it, the
Hypertufa.
hypertufa.
Mm-hmm.
I know like perlite and vermiculite, right? It's the really light substances that are put in soil and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the peat moss, it's almost like a nest, like I imagine. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about other mixtures and things like that, yeah, that are put in like for gardening. Is
Mm-hmm.
is that it has
Yeah,
more
the
of that
peat
kind of
moss
flavor?
absorbs water and it holds it, and the perlite and vermiculite help to drain. So it's like a very ideal porous environment, especially for alpine plants.
Mhm.
And then in the Northwest, where we get so much rain, it's good for plants here because you don't have to worry about things being waterlogged.
Okay, great, great. Wow. And then these are, I imagine like a group coming together and they could make things that fit together in some way or just make individual things or like all kinds of different ways that people can,
Yes.
right, interact
Yes.
and then it can be symbolic.
And also the part of making helping cement objects set is to vibrate them. So I'm thinking of like a drum circle, but it's around a plant that's being or a pot that's being created. And so we can use something like real drumsticks, which I have, or we could use sticks that we source to sort of beat on and pack the cement in at each stage. And so I really want um, to create a very rich, engaging, full bodied experience so that people can access some parts of themselves that maybe they didn't realize they have or have forgotten about and just reawaken those aspects of themselves.
So it sounds like they're products that you have for sale and then they're also like workshops and creative experiences that you're making available for people.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
Great. If people want to learn more and connect with you, where do they find you on the web?
Well, the best place right now is Instagram, and my URL is instagram.com/Richard Songbird.
Okay.
And I'm going to be building a website and all of that stuff, but that'll come down the road.
Great, great. Well, thank you so much. Very exciting. Happy to
Mm-hmm.
support you on your journey and have more people become aware of what you have these beautiful objects in their life, and then have these creative experiences available to them.
Thank you, Lorelai. I appreciate all the work you're doing to organize the MeWe events.
Well, thank you so much. So for all of you watching, you can find out more about our events at MeWeFairs.com. Thank you so much, Richard.
Thank you.